is Ernie Singleton, a.k.a. T-Dog from The Walking Dead, and you are listening to my main man, Brandon.
I actually wanted to touch on movies that are on the VUDU app. So on the VUDU streaming app, which is, I believe, bought by Walmart, and Walmart and Roku. So if you have a Roku TV, I'm pretty sure a Roku TV or stick, you should get a VUDU app with it. But if not, it's real easy to load VUDU. Again, different email address. Obviously, they're all separate accounts. It's all very secured. You can set all that up. So anytime you make a purchase, it'll automatically go to VUDU. VUDU, again, also has a great way to assimilate all of your digital content into your library. It breaks TV from movies. It also added a new feature that just started within the last month or so called lists. And you can add a movie to one or multiple lists that you create. So I immediately made like a list of Disney, a list of Marvel, those kinds of things, because when you click the list, then they're all right there. You don't have to like put in, you don't have to search for it or whatever. And you know, most of you, that's probably not a deal. You probably own like 12 movies, right? I don't know. How many do you own? I have a lot. I have probably too many because I have a problem. So there's that. I've always wondered what happens if, you know, we transfer ownership of that. It's like how much value there is in my email address and password for my digital accounts. That might be the most valuable thing that I have because there's a lot. I think if Laura could check, I know we have over 450 in there. I'm not sure. Yeah, Laura says 400. Yeah, check the VUDU total account. I guarantee there's more than 400. There was 450, I think, at one time. All right, so on VUDU, VUDU also has a ton of free content with commercials. So VUDU is like Roku, that the free stuff will have ads, and it says free with ads or whatever. They have a lot of stuff that are the good movies and the older movies that are sort of like older, right? So for instance, all of the Lethal Weapon movies are on there. So if you don't own the Lethal Weapon movies, you just want to sit through some commercials, they're all there for free. So I think there's 4 or 5 of those, however many there are. They're on there. Obviously, the first one is the classic one that everybody enjoys the most. There they are. Also, all of the Karate Kid movies are on there for free. So you can watch all the Karate Kid movies. I think it's all 1, 2, 3, and the next Karate Kid. So I don't think the 5th one, the newest one's on there. But the other ones all are. So you can watch Daniel's song, Wax On, Wax Off. If you're a fan of Robin Williams movies, Hook and Dead Poets Society is on there. So that's kind of extreme, right? Dead Poets Society, Oscar. Hook, embarrassment. Hook is fun. I enjoy Hook. Peter Pan, fun story. Dustin Hoffman kills it as a Captain Hook. Loved it. I actually found it entertaining, but I can acknowledge, not a very good movie. Dead Poets Society, on the other hand, drama, heavy, very good movie, deserved an Oscar. Not a rewatchable film. I don't enjoy it as much. So it hovers like an 8 for me. Hook is like a 4.5. You know, it's like, it's good. It's in that middle, but it's at the bottom of the middle. But there you go. Robin Williams movies, free on VUDU with some ads. So if you sit through some ads, you can watch some movies like this for free. Okay, a couple others that I've been watching, or, you know, at least could tell you that are decent watching. They're a mafia movie called Donnie Brasco. That's on there for free. Johnny Depp and Al Pacino. It's a mafia movie. It's rough. It's hard to get through. It can be tough. It's got some violence. It's got some profanity. It's mafia, but it's based on a true story. It's Joe Pistone's story. Great film, but it's hard to get through. Man, it's a good film, though. Stephen King's adaptation of the Misery film is on there. Obviously, Kathy Bates kind of has a career and becomes super famous because of her role in that version of Misery. That's on there again, free. Commercials. Panic Room is the one I watched recently again. I hadn't seen it in a long time. Maybe not since it came out. David Fincher, I think it's his 4th or 5th movie. David Fincher in the middle of his career. He's a great director. If you know the movie 7, Aliens 3, he is a great visionary director. Panic Room is actually a very good and entertaining movie. It has a great cast, by the way. So Jodie Foster stars as the main character. Jared Leto, Forrest Whitaker, and Dwight Yoakam stars the 3 intruders. Jodie Foster has a daughter in the film. The intruders come in, they retreat to this panic room because they're trying to break in to find money that has been stashed in the floor inside the panic room. Nobody knew was there. Premise of the movie, too much cussing, you know, someone gets shot in the head kind of stuff. But as far as tension and entertaining film, it's worth watching. It's more like in that middle, that 6.5 kind of thing. Kind of a little bit more if you can tolerate all that and you just want to have suspense and thrillers. It's actually done well. It's cut well. Very good editing and some really good nuances of stuff, especially ahead of the time. This was made a while ago. So probably more like a 7 or 7.5 if you're okay with that. So that's a film I actually watched recently. There is also a Stand By Me, another just classic film, you know, teenage coming of age stuff. Great cast with River Phoenix and Kiefer Sutherland of all people. It's sometimes hard to remember that people did all these great films and had these roles, and they go on to careers and involve some different things like that. So again, I'm talking about the VUDU app, tons of free content with some commercials. There's a lot of movies in there. You can build your video library that way. Gives you a lot of stuff you can stream and binge right now, especially as you take your mind off things. So, yeah, Debbie, I'm with you. Dead Poet Society is too depressing to rewatch multiple times. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, what am I supposed to say? I like the movie. I've watched it. Don't know if I'm going to watch it again anytime soon. But at least I know it's out there in some places for free. So if I had to sit through a few minutes or so, I could fast forward through some entertaining parts. I'm not out any money or anything like that. So kind of what we're doing, right? Let's break down some ideas like that. Debbie also says that Mickey and I just rewatched The Talented Mr. Ripley. And it is a greater appreciation for it now than when it first came out. I agree. I actually saw that again a couple years ago, and again, I think it was free on one of these streaming services. It may have been Hulu, because Hulu has some free content as well. And I kind of thought the same thing. I think there's just great performances, and at the time you're like, it was okay, it was good. But then later on you watch it, you're like, that was really pretty good. So yeah, there's certain movies that are like that. I don't know, do you have others that are kind of like that? I know we tend to not be alike, right? Laura is kind of a watch a movie one time, and then I'm usually trying to get her to watch movies multiple times because I'm crazy. And I wish that these had counters on them, like it would tell me how many times I've watched certain movies, because I'm probably a hypocrite with certain movies. I've watched a lot more than others, and I think they're my favorites, but I haven't watched them as much as others. So for instance, a new movie or newer movie that I've watched way too many times, like something's really wrong with me. The new Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, I have watched probably already at least 12 times. 15? 12? How many, Laura? How many times do you think I've watched this movie? I don't know. But look, if you want some movies to watch, VUDU is another app. I talked about Amazon. I'll post that on YouTube if you missed that, so you can kind of catch some of the stuff, my recommendations on the VUDU app and the Amazon app and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of movies. I want to break down another movie that's available for you on digital. It is $19.99. You can buy it pretty much on all these services. You can rent them. I didn't even talk about renting. It is an option on all of these services as well, for usually like $5 or so like that. But again, a lot of them, if you wait it out, you can almost buy it for that. But the new Jumanji movie is called The Next Level. Since I mentioned the first one, I mentioned the second one. I enjoyed it a lot too. Different jokes, different approaches. I would watch the first one, the first new one, to appreciate the second one. But I would definitely say they're both very entertaining and you would get a lot out of them. So feel free to enjoy those. Okay. If we're going to go down the rabbit's hole and talk about Greatest Showman, we're going to talk about Greatest Showman for a while, because I love Greatest Showman. I have something wrong with me because I don't really care for musicals, and I actually just love Greatest Showman. Greatest Showman is such an entertaining film, and the critics that hate on it are just crazy people, right? Because critics are crazy. Critics are a weird group. And Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, just phenomenal. And the scene in the bar where they're singing and they're slinging, oh my gosh, it is so it's choreographed so well. The La La Land folks are the ones that created it, and they took all this heat for being compared to that one. And I gotta be honest, I never watched La La Land. I can't get through it. I tried a couple of times because it's streamed for free for a few times with commercials, and I get to commercial and I'm like, I'm out. But Greatest Showman is so good. Great film to watch right now. We should do some of those favorites for you. That's definitely one that's for me. I assume Laura is saying that I have watched it. Oh, how many times have we watched Greatest Showman? Laura says 50. I don't think we've watched it that much. You've watched Newsies 50 times. Confess. You know you have. I would say that I've probably watched Greatest Showman at least a dozen times as well. Because it's been a couple years now, so I would say 1, 2, 3, probably 3 or 4 times very, very quickly. So we saw it in theater, those kinds of things. So yeah, 3 or 4 times right away. So getting to 10 or 12 actually probably is on the low side. So probably the 15 to 20 range. How many times have you watched it, Debbie? You've watched it more than me. Okay. I could say that I was shocked that 3/4 of the movie was almost flawlessly edited. Like, it was so well put together and it moved so fast. I think there's a couple parts right before the closing act. There's a couple parts there with the family and the stress of the relationship there that were a little on the slower side. And I will say that the singers they got to sing for the actresses did a great job. And that used to be the norm back in the day, by the way. So there is no shame in that. That actually is how most old films were done. The actress would act, they'd bring in a singer, she'd mouth the singing, and that's how films were done, right? This is why Judy Garland is possibly one of the greatest actresses of all time, because she acted and sang. And that's why Wizard of Oz is possibly one of the greatest films of all time. Well, definitely one of the greatest, and definitely one of the ones that we have to talk more about, because it gets excluded off lists, and it is totally being disrespectful to Judy Garland, who could sing and act. Anyway, I digress, but Hugh Jackman deserves that kind of credit because he did such a phenomenal job in that film. And it is really fun from start to finish, entertaining. I don't want to get into all the historical nonsense that a lot of the critics try to pan it over. I think it's just silly. What do you want me to say? Was he a nice guy in real life? No. Did they have better lives with him than they would have had in their natural situations? Yes, they did. They told you that before they passed away. So, I don't know. I liked Greatest Showman. Highly recommend Greatest Showman. All right. What else you got? Yeah, Debbie says the soundtrack for Greatest Showman, absolutely addictive. Couldn't agree more. So, look, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. Some stuff's for free. I wanted to kind of break some of that out, make sure you had some of that stuff to go on, get a chance to take a break from the news and all the crazy stuff going on. I've been trying to come up with some different topics that I can kind of translate to YouTube to kind of get the Pops thing going as well. I got more stuff to post. Allison's video posted online today for the Watch Your Story channel. So if you are a subscriber to Watch Your Story over on YouTube, you can see that already out there. So feel free to join that group and get plugged in on Watch Your Story channel. And if not, you'll wait. That'll be probably out online the next day or so. You can watch her thing because it was a cool hour-long show. We also talk about a lot of movie stuff, so even if you're on the Pops page, you'll also notice that my talk with Jake showed up today. We talked about his favorite movies from his childhood. So we talked about movies that he really remembered enjoying, and how only one of them doesn't seem to hold up real well for him. I thought that was kind of interesting. So there we go. Ran down a few things, talked about a couple more movies tonight. Hopefully it was a good break for you guys. I just liked hanging out, giving you guys caught up on stuff that we're doing, keep my mind off of things. So anyway, so hopefully you have a good night, and feel free to message me, add comments to this, and we'll keep at it and try to give you some content that you're interested in. VUDU commercials. So there's a ton of stuff in there. If you are a fan of Robin, oh boy, I stumbled through that. Sorry.